What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into another awesome series from ByerlyStudios. Now, this is going to be a diorama build, and although there may be some hidden things here and there along this process, we're going to use a lot of different materials, mediums, and all sorts of techniques to create this amazing item. So I have some notes here. We're going to run through a bunch of ideas, concepts, drawings, sketches, and just discussions that I have about the materials that we're going to use in this process. This is going to be just like the Mad Mike Studio build. We're going to have a lot of videos. Each thing is going to be separated out into its own individual video through the steps. So if you want to incorporate any of these practices or techniques and fun things into any of your builds, then you are welcome to do so. So as I refer to these notes, I will be looking down a little bit, just be aware of that. But let's get into it, guys. Alright guys, so this project was actually commissioned by another artist, an amazing artist over on TikTok. So she follows me on TikTok, I follow her, so that's absolutely incredible. If you don't follow either one of us, definitely do so. So her name is Yvonne Hunt, and she runs Cursed and Conjure over on TikTok. Not only that, but she also sells tumblers. Not just tumblers, guys, amazing works of art. Go over to her TikTok page, make sure you check it out. Her link will always be in the very bottom of every single one of these videos throughout the entire series. So at any point, if you want to jump over to her TikTok page, definitely check out some of the content that she has, as well as some of the products that she sells as an artist herself. Absolutely amazing artist. So she has requested that we create a 3D diorama, not necessarily a tumbler, but just a diorama of a Goliath Birdeater. So I knew about this spider, but I didn't know like the details of it. Right? It's kind of like you know something, but you don't really know it. It's kind of an acquaintance, but not really a friend type of thing. So I'm gonna run through a bunch of notes here, guys. I'm gonna be looking down, like I said before, at some of these notes. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off by searching off on Google, and we're just gonna look up the general ideas of the spider. Now, immediately when she came to me with this idea, I immediately started coming up with ideas, and I kind of knew where I wanted to take the direction. So I already really have an idea of what's gonna go on. But this is just kind of showing that how I could have possibly came to the design process and what we're going to create, which is pretty intense and just pretty large project. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump over to Wikipedia and we're going to search Goliath Birdeater. So let's go ahead and fill up the page with this, and then we'll run through some of the notes that I've taken already. All right, so as you can see, I kind of jumped into the top right hand corner of the screen here, and I have Wikipedia pulled up here. All of the references that I use from the web or from other YouTube creators will be tagged below, so they do get credit. I'm not going to show any of the YouTube videos that I used as learning about the spider in itself, but I will tag them below and I will give them a mention also, so they get some credit, right? Because I learned something from their video and they deserve credit also. So here on Wikipedia, we're just going to run a few things here, and then as I start to pull these up into what I may be using in the diorama, which I've already kind of taken notes on, I'll put them in the top left-hand corner of the screen here. All right, guys, so let's just jump into the Wikipedia post here and get some notes. Goliath Birdeater is just general, and you can go into some subcategories from there. The Goliath Birdeater, Theraphosa blondi, that's a name, belongs to the tarantula family, Theraphosa. I hope I said that right. Found in northern South America. Okay, it is the largest spider in the world by mass, 175 grams, or 6.2 ounces. For a spider, that's pretty big. So it's the biggest in the world by mass, okay? And then body length up to 13 centimeters or 5.1 inches. So let's just say the body length would say about that big, okay, roughly. All right, that's just the body, so that's like the fangs to abdomen. All right, that's fine, that's pretty big. And second to the giant huntsman spider by leg span. So when it's fully sprawled out, it's second in the world, but by mass it's number one. It is also called the Goliath Tarantula or Goliath Birdeater spider. We're going to label this Birdeater spider. The practice of calling it Theraphosa, bird eating derives from early 18th century copper engraving by Maria something that shows one eating a hummingbird. Vicious, kind of like a praying mantis. They eat hummingbirds too. Despite the spider's name, they rarely prey on birds. Take that to note, rarely prey on birds. And I know that some of the videos that I referenced later also mention that they don't feed their pet Goliath Birdeaters birds or mini mice either. Some of them Feed them mostly just small like insects and things. All right, so physical description. These spiders can have a leg span of up to like 12 inches, so a foot. It's pretty big. So if you saw that thing coming across your floor, you might freak out a little bit. And a body length of up to 5.1 inches. Okay, so that's a note. And it can weigh up to 6.2. So same thing again. Bird eaters are one of the few tarantula species that lack tibula spurs. Interesting. Located on the first pair of legs of most adult males. They are mostly tan and brown and golden hued. Remember that. Unlike other species of spider and tarantula, females do not eat the males during mating. That's so good. Thank you, ladies, for not eating us after whoopee time. Females mature in 3 to 6 years and have an average lifespan of 15 to 25. So I assume, unless you're a breeder, you probably have mainly females, maybe. Somebody mentioned below if you have any of these, and if you have any males, cool. Males die soon after maturity and have a lifespan of up to 3 to 6 years. So see, like you can spend, you're probably paying more for females because of the lifespan. Colors range from dark to light brown with the faint markings on the legs. We'll get into color codes later when I start to do some color swatches for the overall body texture and things like that. And there's some I'm going to introduce some other things that I'm not really used to doing that kind of introduce more realism into the spider because it's a diorama, not necessarily a tumbler. So it's going to be something different. The females lay up to 100 to 200 eggs. Whoop, that's a lot. Which hatch into spiderlings within 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, is 1 to 200 eggs a lot of spider eggs for a spider? Somebody comment below. Behavior. Let's see here. In response to threats, the bird eater. Let's see here. Rubbing. Okay, a lot of words here. Don't judge me, guys. Stridulate by rubbing setae. Leg hairs, bro. They're freaking leg hairs. Okay, they rub their leg hairs against their abdomen or their leg hairs together, and it causes like frigible leg hairs in the air. When threatened, they rub their abdomen with their hind legs and release the hairs, or severe irritations to skin and mucous membranes. So if it gets in your nose, if it gets in your eye, if it gets in your mouth where there's mucus or moisture, or even just on your skin, I imagine that this, somebody can tell me in the comments below, I would imagine this feels similar to like a piece of fiberglass, like from a fiberglass ladder in your arm, or maybe no, I would say that it floats through the air like asbestos, perhaps, because it's like technically a hair, so it gets stuck in your membrane and it'll be there for a little bit until it deteriorates or it just comes out on its own. I imagine if it got in your skin and your flesh, it'd have that same spiking or a stinging sensation that it would have if you had fiberglass, like insulation or ladder fiberglass in your arm. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I know that a lot of people who handle these spiders do wear goggles and gloves, so there's that. All right, so moving on. They carry venom in their fangs and have been known to bite when threatened. It says that, I skipped a part. It says their fangs can range from 2 to 4 centimeters. That's pretty big. Pretty big. So, or it says 1.57 inches long. So, how long maybe? Pretty long. Okay. Feeding. Despite its name, the Goliath Birdeater rarely preys on birds. In the wild, its diet consists of mainly arthropods, worms, amphibians, so maybe like frogs, lizards, things like that. Things that really, I would imagine things that don't fight back, right? If you want to eat something, you might eat something that doesn't really plan to hurt you or it could endanger your life. Why not go the easiest route? Well, climb up my mountain when you can just slide down a slope. Let's see here. They do not consume their prey in the open. Rather, they drag it into the burrow and begin to digest it from there. Let's see. They inject something and then it liquefies the body, and then they yummy. Tastes like chicken. It says they've been observed feeding on rodents, frogs, toads, lizards, and even snakes. Ooh, snakes. That's a cool one. That's something you don't hear very often. We will take note of rodents and We'll just take rodents for now out of that, rodents. Let's see here. It says okay, so this is the big importance here. The Goliath Birdeater is native to the upland rainforest region, North South America, and it lists a few. Basically, Brazil, Venezuela, very hot, humid climates. Most notable in the Amazon rainforest. The spider is terrestrial, living in deep burrows, and is found commonly in marshy or swampy areas. It is also not a nocturnal species. So like if you woke it up during the day, it may not be happy with you, right? So interesting. So very hot and humid. I plan to introduce that. So hot and humid and moist. Let's see here. It also says that the Goliath Birdeater is an edible spider. The spider is part of a local cuisine in northeastern South America. Prepared by singeing off the hairs. That's a good idea, right? You don't want that in your mucous membranes. And roasting it in banana leaves. Okay. The flavor has been described as shrimp-like. So not like shrimp ragoon. It could be like Goliath Birdeater ragoon, right? Maybe something like that. It's like, what is this garnish you're bringing out into a party? Oh, these are just bird eaters. They're just open your mouth a little farther instead of shrimps. Okay. Anyway, so that's Wikipedia, guys. So it's just to give us a little ballpark of what's going on. And you can see I kind of added the notes on the side over here, so we have some notes to run through. I only included the things that are going to affect the diorama in which I have envisioned. So I also mentioned some other reference sources. So let's run through those, and I want to give those people credit. They will also be linked below under references. Now, I'm not saying that they're the only ones that produce amazing content on bird eater spiders. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when I was looking through YouTube at spider enthusiasts to learn about the spider, to look at the spider's shape, size, color, the hairs, the terrariums that people were building for them, these are the ones that stood out to me. And I watched a lot, and they stood out in my mind as I went through them. So let me pull this up, and we'll get to that. All right, so the first reference that I liked off of YouTube was, and it may not be there all the time depending, Nat Geo Wild. I'm only going to mention them because they're probably the biggest one, and they're on like cable TV and all. And their video is labeled "The Biggest Spider on the Planet, Bite, Sting, or Kill." Okay, and then I left the link to that below if you want to go out and watch that YouTube video and come back to this later. The second video is from the Tarantula Collective. Amazing content. Goliath Birdeater, Theraphosa blondi, Sturmi, Apophyus, okay, care and husbandry. A ton of information there. The next one is Clint's Reptiles. He does a ton of stuff, guys. So if you just want to have fun watching animals with your kids, like him showcasing animals, definitely go over there and check that out. It's amazing. But his is labeled Goliath Birdeater, the best pet tarantula. Like, is it the best pet for you, or is it the best pet period? Next one is Tarantula Cat. I know she's on TikTok, guys. I don't know about the other ones. I haven't looked them up. But Tarantula Cat is on TikTok, so definitely hit her with a follow. I followed her not too long ago, and her video is I said I wouldn't, but I did. Goliath bird eating tarantula, so she finally got one. So, and then I'll also link the Wikipedia entry at the very bottom of that as well. And then you have all my links to Etsy, Instagram, and TikTok, Pinterest, and Facebook. I'm only on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, but mostly TikTok and YouTube. So there's that, guys. A lot of information there. Now let's just run through a quick overview of what I imagine out of this. And I have like a 5-minute sketch that I did on lunch, and I already sent that to Yvonne, and she already approved it. So it's something that we can run through. So let's get to it, guys. Okay, so we're gonna start off. I have pre-ordered a board. Because the spider is so large and we want it to be realistic, the overall build process for this is going to be intense. I'm not upset by that as long as the person who ordered it is willing to be patient enough for me to put the effort and time into it, not only to grow my skills, but to give them the best quality product that I can. Then I'm cool with it. Okay, I just want them to get what they want, and I want them to get more than what they pay for from me. I just need patience in return, that's all. So we've ordered this board, and the only place I was able to find one of this size that I kind of liked was Michaels.com. They didn't have it in the store at the time, so I ordered it. It showed up. It doesn't have any dings or scratches, so I'm happy about that. This board is 11 by 14. Okay, so 11 by 14, you're like, well, Mr. Byerly, this spider is supposed to be about a foot long. We're not gonna make ours a foot long, but we are gonna make it almost near probably 10 inches in length. We are gonna put it in a defensive stance, and I think that I'm gonna try along the way to create it to where we can actually exchange the front arms and put passive arms in if I were to create this in a mold form later. Come back to that in a minute. So this is 11 by 14. And then, so the very first thing is we're gonna go ahead and stain this, okay? So I've already got approval. We're gonna stain it with an American walnut. So it's just a nice rich color. I'll be honest, once we get this on, you're not gonna see a whole lot of it. And I may even carpet the base depending on how heavy it truly turns out at the end. So we're gonna see. So that's the first thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna get the stain on, and I may make a micro video about that, but it's not much to it. We just wipe the stain on, let it settle, wipe it off, and then we put a clear coat over it and call it a day. Okay, so that's the base. And then once we have that set and it's sealed, then we can begin the next process, okay? So I have a few pieces of foam board over here. We're actually gonna try, this is the first time I've ever done a few of these processes, right? So I'm gonna cut foam board, and then I'm gonna use a hot wire tool set to carve it into the general shape of the rock formation or the base that I want. I want the base the main base, so this is the front, this is the back. I want the back to be a little bit higher, so I'm probably hanging over a little bit, but not too much. The front is gonna be more of a cliff on this side, and then this side is gonna be rock formation, but it's gonna have a water feature here. So I'm gonna try to make the entire thing very wet looking because it is a rainforest. I know that a lot of the terrariums from reference videos that I looked at, they have to have damp or humidity controlled terrariums for the spiders to be healthy and happy. So of course they still have to have airflow as well. So we're gonna make the ground damp. So once I build up the base out of foam, I'm gonna run an experiment because I don't know and I haven't really been able to find any good references online. So I'm gonna create my own. We're gonna run an experiment probably in video number 2, where I'm gonna try to see if I can get air dry clay to cure and attach itself by itself to foam board. I'll probably use 1 or 2 different types of foam board where I can go crazy with it. And we're just gonna see if we can get the air dry clay to attach to the foam board by itself. I couldn't find anything. I know there's a few answers online, but they're very open-ended. We're gonna settle that here in a few weeks on ByerlyStudios. Once I get it blocked in, I'm gonna leave probably, depending on that experiment, I might leave probably about a quarter of an inch shade lower than I would like. And if the air dry clay does not attach to the foam board, then I'll probably lay wire mesh over the entire thing and stake it down. But we'll see how that goes. I wanted to use air dry clay. Originally, I was thinking about making the entire thing clay all the way through. It was just gonna be way too heavy, guys. It would have ended up being probably 25, 30 pounds of clay. And I just didn't want to make something that was unbearable for them to move. And then increasing the weight, it just makes it, it's not bad. It's just, if I was making a sculpture, that's different, but this is a diorama, so it's a little bit different. So we're going to use air dry clay to create the overall rock and ground formation, and that is going to be out of air dry clay. Now, I was also comparing online. We live in a weird time. The terracotta is what I was originally going to go with, terracotta DOS, but instead I decided to go with DOS white. It just requires a little bit more painting when I get to that stage, which would be after the air dry is cured. We put a base layer over that with probably a Mars black. I'll probably use the air compressor to do that, air gun. And then what we'll do is we'll build up some browns as we work into some later processes before we start to really layer in the final colors, the rock, the washes, any dirt. I do plan after it's base coated to introduce real dirt. So I'm gonna take a video and we're gonna go out into the ecosystem around here, the yard, the woods back there, And we're going to go through and we're going to find some decayed logs and real material and organic matter. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill up some gallon baggies, dark, light, all sorts of different stuff, some organic mulches that come truly out of the woods. And what we're going to do is we're going to introduce that with a little bit of just organic mulch, probably from the store, or even if I bought a bag from maybe like PetSmart or something, or Petco, or Chewy, wherever y'all order that from, I'll introduce that as there as well, because I want it to have like that perfect medium between natural wild and rainforest terrarium that you built in your house. That perfect medium, so that if you looked at it, you're like, it doesn't look like either one. It just looks great, right? So after the air dry is done, we're gonna paint it, base coat it. We're gonna get some details on it, and then we're gonna block it in with some rock formations, washes, and then the dirt. So the spider himself is going to be sitting on a little bit of an incline, right? I'm going to design the spider a little bit differently. And I know I'm skipping over a few of these processes here, but we're going to get to those, guys. Just be patient and have fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different and something outside my norm for the actual spider itself. I want to create it so that not only are the legs detachable, but I can also reproduce it in the future, so that if Yvonne contacted me and said, hey, look, the diorama fell, a piece chipped off the base, I'm able to fix that, that's no problem, but the spider broke, I can say, well, hey, I got a mold of it right over here. I can just cast you a few extra pieces, and then you can paint it. Or I can go ahead and just create molds and then cast them, and I can sell them as paintables. Kind of like how Walmart sells little paintable miniatures. I don't have any nearby, but anyway, so that's another option I've been thinking about. And I really want to get into using different clays. So for that part of the build, the actual spider, I'm going to begin by using monster clay. I've been wanting to use it for so long, guys, and I'm super excited that I'm able to finally use it in this opportunity. So we're going to sculpt it out of monster clay. That is going to be an entire process in itself. I'll probably sculpt the body, the abdomen separate. I'll probably create ports for the legs to be plugged in, and then I'll probably sculpt the legs after the main body is done, and then we'll piece them in together so that the legs can be interchanged later on down the road. The main part of it will probably have a built-in integrated armature system, so you may get to see me build an actual armature that is fitted to a spider. That may be in the same video as the monster clay. It may be separate. We'll have to decide how long the videos are. I don't want to kill y'all in length on these videos. So that's the actual spider itself. All right, so as far as what the spider is going to be standing on, we're going to have a rock formation around the front, and then we're going to have dirt and decay. And not just decay, I wanted to give it some organic medium and matter that blends the spider into its ecosystem, so that if you're really not looking at it, you really don't see the spider right away until you look over there. That's how they're colored, right? So we're going to leave it we're going to make sure that the ground and everything that we put on it is going to be wet looking. And that even comes down to me using a UV resin to add water droplets to things. So we'll see how that goes. So I wanted to create a centerpiece apart from the spider. And what we're going to do is we're going to not create one, but we're going to create two tumblers. Two tumblers. Now, they're not drinkable. We're not using them for drinkables, but we're using them as a base to build on. We are not going to use air dry clay with this. I don't like using air dry clay with tumblers. I have in the past. I've built some armor sets that have been pieced onto tumblers before. Air dry clay really doesn't stick well to stainless steel tumblers. It kind of shrinks when you air dry and then it pops off. It's okay. You can. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying I have, but we're not going to use that in this situation. We're going to use another type of clay, and for that, we are going to use Sculpey Original. So after the main base is blocked in, before all the dirt and all that stuff is finalized, we're going to create an actual log. This is going to be pretty hefty, but not just a log. You're thinking to yourself, wow, that's pretty engineered, right? It doesn't look like a log. You are right, and it doesn't. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take a hacksaw or an oscillating saw, whatever you want to call it where you are, and we're going to take chunks out of this thing. We're going to take chunks around the sides. We're going to take chunks out of the end. Maybe not this end. We're going to take chunks out of that end. We're going to cut the bottom off of this one. We're gonna blend them in so that they're fully fixed together. We're gonna take some off of the corners here and make this jagged so it sticks out. It makes it look like it's sticking out. And the goal here is that it's gonna stick out over the actual base, okay? So the goal is that it's gonna have a little bit of overhang, and that overhang and the jaggedness of it is gonna make it look like a real log. That's my goal with this portion of the build, is to sculpt it and paint it so that it looks like a realistic log. It's gonna be absolutely incredible by itself before we even get to the spider, okay? So that's gonna be kind of intense. We're gonna take a lot of material away from this, and then we're gonna blend them together. This is gonna look like a realistic log when I get done with it, so stay tuned for that. Very exciting in itself. So we'll set that off to the side. We got the wood, we got the base, we got our air dry clay, we have the foam, we have adhesive, I have wire, I have mesh wire just in case, and then we're gonna get organic dirts for the floor. We're gonna sculpt and paint realistic rocks. We're gonna do a resin water feature, so we will be mixing resin and then pouring it like it's a water fixture in an actual terrarium. We're gonna make it probably a little bit more grunge, like it would be out in the wild, have like leaves on top of it and debris. We'll get to that later. And then we're also gonna create the log out of Sculpey Original. And then after that is done, we're gonna start the process of actually sculpting the spider. The spider's gonna be sculpted by itself, don't forget. So this all will be put away while we're doing that. And that's gonna be out of a monster clay. And then we're gonna make a silicone mold of that spider. And then we're gonna cast the spider out of something else. We'll see, maybe I'll do like a polymer clay cast, or maybe a plaster cast of it. Whatever I do cast in that, I want to have that silicone mold cast have a armature system in itself, even if it's a simplified version of the original. So stay tuned. I'm super excited. Before we finish up the video, I did make a 5-minute lunch, a picture drawing of the sides, the top and the front of what this would look like. So let's jump into that. So I'm back up in the corner again, guys. So we're going to run through this. Now, this was a super simplified version of the overall build, and it was just for me to kind of get just a general layout of where everything's going to go for the customer. I didn't spend hours on this. I could have spent hours drawing this picture, but it's not worth that. It's worth the time that I'm investing in other things. So you can kind of see I have some labels here. Webbing, do you dare put your hand inside? Because you could actually put your hand inside this dirt log when I get done at your own risk. Rock formations, dark moss, light moss. We are also going to experiment with some static grass as well. Probably not a whole lot because it would be kind of a rainforest or a wet texture, so grass may not survive very well in that much humidity or that ecosystem. I don't know how much grass is actually in the Amazon, but I mean, if these spiders are in the Amazon, I would think that they'd have more like tropical vegetation than just common grass. We're gonna have the water feature. Now that water feature is gonna be cascaded over a little bit, so it's not necessarily gonna be right there. It's gonna be kind of multiple places. And then we have the actual spider itself. I also want to experiment with a way that I can create realistic spider webs in a fake way, and then resin them so that they're in place permanently, but they look soft. We'll see how that goes. That may be an experiment video in itself. So I know that this was kind of long, you guys. I know that it kind of rambled and went along with it. I just wanted to create a design video that would lead into this series so that I can kind of open it up in the proper way. So what I'm gonna do is, because this is just gonna be stained, you guys, it's nothing super advanced. There's really nothing to it. I'm literally gonna just dip a sponge into the thing and then wipe it on, and then make sure you just lay it on smoothly and there's no buildup in a spot, and then I'm gonna let it sit. We'll let it sit all afternoon, and then maybe tomorrow or something I will go ahead and wipe it off and clear coat it, and then we'll come into the next video, which will be the foam video, with a good ready prepared spot for the actual foam to sit on top of. So I will see you guys in the next video, where we are going to be able to just jump right into the base. We'll have the foam blocked in, and we're going to cut it on the Proxxon saw, and then we'll start attaching it to the actual wooden base that will already be stained this nice, beautiful American walnut color. I'll remind you of the color in the next video also, but otherwise I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of long and I rambled, but it is what it is. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video for the Goliath Birdeater Diorama. Later, guys.
Bloopers of shame.
So what we'll do is we're going to read down through it. So here you can see the Goliath Birdeater. See, I'm getting talking too much. I'm breathing. The Goliath Birdeater belongs to the tarantula. That'll be in the bloopers. I'm gonna get coffee. All right, guys. So let me fumble. All right, guys, so let me fumble my way through this Wikipedia link. Now, I know a lot of people put all sorts of things in here, so we're just going to use this as a guide, right? So, as we can see here, the Goliath Birdeater Theraphosa blondi, belongs to the tarantula. Butchered it again. All right, so let's check out this Wikipedia page here, guys. I got my coffee, so I'm not getting dry throat there. The Goliath Birdeater Theraphosa blondi, belongs to the tarantula. I did it again. I did it tarantula.